Coming up to 11:15 here, 11:15, try that again, 11:45 here, 11:15 in South Australia, where we are bound for. And it's a Happy New Year to our friend, the Prof. Hello, Prof.
Happy New Year to you too, Neil, and to all your listeners. I hope you've had a good Christmas and obviously a prosperous, we're all hoping for a prosperous New Year. Very
kind of you. We know you didn't have a particularly good Christmas and New Year, and it raises a topic that I'm very grateful for you to be happy to talk about this, because it's a critically important topic of conversation. Tell us a bit about your break.
Well, I did think about whether I should talk about this, Neil, because it is a personal thing, although my whole family was involved. But we speak regularly about community health, but particularly men's health. And about 2.5 weeks ago, I suffered a pretty significant heart attack, which I guess maybe I had felt coming, but this was something that you don't expect. You think yourself sometimes as a bit bulletproof. You think of somebody that's coached sport for 15 or 20 years and has been reasonably fit over that journey, and then to be struck down with a heart attack and to be rushed to Adelaide by air ambulance was something that was quite unknown to me, obviously, and probably would be to a lot of people. But I'm just truly grateful, Neil, to the people that went out of their way to help me, because a little bit more time, and if we'd have waited a bit longer, it might not have been the result we were hoping for.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned, and by the way, there are easier ways to get to Adelaide. You realise you didn't have to have a heart attack to get an ambulance. You could actually drive. You know that, don't you?
I knew that.
Mate, tell us, you said you thought, looking back, you think you might have felt an idea that it might have been coming. What sort of things should men be looking out for in a reactive sense? We'll talk about proactive care in a minute, but what sorts of things should people be looking out for, men and women, that there might be something wrong?
Well, I just felt that just doing mundane things around the house, like mowing the lawns every fortnight or just doing a bit of lifting or whatever, there was a genuine shortness of breath. And occasionally, and particularly when I was doing the mowing, I'd get a small pain across the top of my chest. And that I associated with maybe indigestion. And that's what a lot of the sensation of a heart attack can be like, a bit of indigestion. And I would regularly just take some Gaviscon to try and clear that up, and that would get rid of that. But on this occasion, when I had the heart attack on a Wednesday night, my wife said, "Come on, this is no good. I want to take you over to the hospital." And I said, "No," I reckon it'll go away. And I said, "But what I will do, if it hasn't gone away by early hours of the morning, I'll jump in the car with you and we'll go over to the hospital." Well, this particular pain business didn't go away. It remained, and I knew there was something wrong. Mount Gambier Hospital, to their wisdom, said, "Look, we think you're having a heart attack. We're going to organise a flying doctor." And certainly at 8 o'clock the next morning, I was on the plane to Adelaide on a way to Flinders Medical Centre, and they were magnificent there. I saw most of what went on. I had the angiogram, and obviously the following processes where I saw which part of my body and arteries were blocked, and the actual surgeons putting the stents in. So
wow,
that was an experience which I'll never forget. I hope I don't have to go through it again. But as the question you originally asked, if you're not feeling 100%, and the people that you're talking to, Neil, have probably been inside their bodies for a few years, know their bodies, and should never, ever be a hero, never, ever be the person of, "She'll be right, mate, go and get checked," because it can save your life.
And we're talking literally it can save your life. A lot of, do that and it'll save your life. We're talking serious stuff here, aren't we?
Well, we are talking serious stuff, and the surgeons did say to me in Adelaide that if you'd waited a little bit longer and if things hadn't have gone the right way, you may not have been here.
Yeah.
And what he did say, and look, they were magnificent, these blokes. They know their stuff. They converse in a lay terms which I could understand, and I could see what was going on, which I thought, gee, if they're going to show me this, I'm like to flake out on the table. But I was able to watch the whole process go through, Neil, where they cleared the blockages and put stents in that end, and from there I remained in the hospital for about 10 or 11 days, and then got home during this week. But the following now is that I've got to follow a pretty rigid post-operative regime of where I'm taking a fair bit of medicines and that sort of stuff, and know that I've got to take them. But hopefully this is the last time I've got to go through with that process, and I don't wish that on anybody. But the point I think we should all make, and whether it's a heart attack or whether it's other dangerous diseases which are out there and certainly can be carried by all of us, and not just particularly men, but women also, is to go and get yourself checked, because there's no excuse for not doing that, because the facilities now in most big centres, and I know in your area like Geelong and Warrnambool, and they've got magnificent hospital facilities, and if you're not doing those things, I think you're not being true to yourself or your family.
Yeah, and I think, I had a suspected heart attack. Thankfully, not. Well, it wasn't. It was, in fact, a muscle strain that had some of the similar sort of symptoms to it. And since then, every year I'm having an ECG on my birthday. My birthday, go and get needles in your arms and ECGs and all that sort of stuff. Because, presumably the things that caused your heart attack, blockages and so on, didn't appear overnight. They would have appeared over years, and by proactive care, some of those things may well be picked up if you go and see your doctor on a regular basis.
Absolutely correct, and this is where I blame myself just a little bit. When I said the bulletproof thing, you get these odd idiosyncrasies with your body, and and it's often the He-Man stuff. You say, "Oh, I'll be right," but sometimes you're not right, and I should have been far more diligent and listened to my body far better than what I had done. Look, I'm a non-smoker. I drink very little alcohol. That has very little bearing on this sort of stuff, if this is what is within your own body. And as I said, I can't stress it enough, and it's a pretty dramatic experience has brought that home to me. And once again, as we've been saying, fellas, go and get yourself checked out if you're not feeling 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, I can remember the day I had what I thought was a heart attack, and I didn't want to ring an ambulance, because if I rang an ambulance, well, they'd turn up and there might be lights and, all that sort of stuff, and the people over the road would know, and I didn't want to worry anyone. But you're going to worry people a lot more when you're dead. Absolutely.
That's exactly what the ambulance people said to me. And they said, once you've got a pain or an abnormal pain in your chest, whether it turns out to be indigestion, doesn't matter. They're all over it. And it's exactly what the ambulance, they said, we'd come out if you've got pain in your chest, and whether it doesn't turn out to be a heart attack, that doesn't matter. They are there to service, the community, and certainly people with potential issues. Unfortunately mine was a potentially dangerous issue, which, through the help of the ambulance and the flying doctor and the doctors at Flinders Medical Centre have got me right, hopefully. I'm going to be 2 or 3 or 4 weeks before I'm properly back into normal, but I'm sure that with their help over the last 2.5 weeks, I'm going to get back to normality, which I want to do desperately, because I know that I've got a few more years to live a prosperous life yet, and I think that's the attitude we've all got to take, because we've all got kids, we've all got grandkids, we've all got friends and that, and I think it's your duty to make sure that you're right.
Yeah, well, I can remember when I went to St John of God Hospital here in Geelong, and I remember saying to the guys when they said, "No, look, it's all we don't think it's anything terribly serious." I said, "Well, I'm going to look like a bit of an idiot," and he said, "You know what? We much rather see you look like an idiot than look like a corpse." And that was fairly direct, but boy, oh boy, it made some sense.
Yes, that's right. That's right. But anyway, that's where it stands now, Neil.
Yep.
I'm happy with where I'm at now. As I said, it's going to take a little while, but we can't stress enough, guys. Go and get yourself checked if you're not feeling 100%, because it can happen. It did happen to me, and something out of the blue, and I should have prepared myself better for that than what I had.
Before we let you go, Prof, thank you. Genuinely thank you for telling us that story. It's a really important story. We've got people listening, and we've got people listening out at Bunnings, which means we've got a slightly bigger audience today than we normally have. I reckon this conversation has saved a life or two, and for that, I know it's very personal to you. Your generosity in sharing that story is very gratefully received.
That's fine, and I just wish all of you people at 94.7 and all of your listeners all the very, very best, and let's just hope it's a profitable 2026 going forward. But look after yourselves, everybody.
The man who puts prof into profitable. Thanks, mate. We'll talk in a couple of weeks.
No worries.
Thanks, mate. There he is, the Prof, and a very, very, very important message. Gentlemen, ladies, I don't care whether you're 25 and listening to this or you're 75 and listening to this, make sure that you keep on top of your health. Go and see your doctor. We almost lost a mate, and he's very generously spoken to us about what that was like. You have no excuse not to go and see your doctor, at least on an annual basis. Get a proactive checkup. Because you never know what they might find, and knowing what you've got means you can deal with it and potentially save your life. We are not mucking around. This is life and death stuff, and we thank Ian for sharing that story